patient I was. And I don't infuse a situation with emotion anymore. I just don't.
That's a really good point.
I ask myself a very simple question when confronted with a crisis or some type of drama. Who does it serve? If I say something nasty, if I raise my voice, if I dress somebody down, if I start cussing,
right. Who does it serve?
Who does it serve? It doesn't serve
your own ego.
Doesn't serve anybody.
Really?
It makes you feel better for about 15 seconds.
And more powerful, right? You're putting someone down.
And all you've done is made the situation worse. So
yeah,
everyone knows me. My policy on drama is don't initiate it, tolerate it, or propagate it. And I really push that. To just drama-free workplace. Don't cause drama. There's no reason for us to be. And the other thing is, we really try to watch the F-bombs and how we talk. It doesn't add. It doesn't elevate the organization. It just doesn't.
And it creates an atmosphere, right? I mean, I like to drop it as much as the next person, but there are times when you have to be professional because it's gonna create an atmosphere. It opens the space for more to happen,
right?
And who knows where it goes. So is that the biggest? Is your biggest frustration then in restaurants, because it's pretty known for drama?
Right.
Would that be your biggest frustration in a restaurant, like the thing?
Well,
that most
but I think one thing that the hospitality industry gets a bad rap because there is a lot of drama and it's very human intensive. But
it's everywhere.
If you look at any corporation where you have humans interacting, you're going to have drama. Period.
Look at your own personal relationships. There's drama.
We're all humans. We're all humans.
Yeah,
humans
are gonna happen.
Humans are fallible, but it's not. Look, you're always going to have it. It's how you react to it that makes one company different from another. And
that's right. Yeah, you can let it feed the energy and the frustration, or you can make a choice, like you just said, and decide not to feed into it, and then it ends.
So I have a very simple 3-step recipe in dealing.
A 3-step rule.
Three-step recipe for dealing with crisis.
Okay.
It's get the fact, remove the emotion, act decisively. Very simple.
Sounds very militaristic.
But it worked. It's just very while everyone's yelling and screaming and saying they should have done this and he should have done that and that guy did this and that guy did that, and there's finger pointing going on. It's like, stop. What are the facts? And guess what? There's 2 sides to every story. Every story. You interview one person and it sounds horrible, and then you interview the other person, and then guess what? Oh well, that person didn't tell us that. So, and you get
like the game of telephone.
Yep.
Exactly. I was always told there was 3 sides: my side, your side, and the truth.
Right. There's somewhere in the middle, but there's elements of truth on both sides. There always is.
Of course there is.
Very rarely is someone completely lying. Very rarely.
Right. But we do our brain does make up things. I was actually just watching this really interesting thing where it talks about our brain tries to interpret things as we think we see them. So there's a checkerboard, and then almost like a large castle or rook on the checkerboard that's casting a shadow, and you can see the different colors, right? The alternating colors of white and black on the chessboard. Mm-hmm. And then you look at the one that's in the shadow and in the pattern, and you're like, oh, that's a light one. And then you pick it up off of it, and it's actually one of the dark ones. But our brain is seeing this pattern that we've always seen, and it's not even letting us see what's actually there. Right. How crazy is that?
Yeah. And you hear what you want to hear, and sometimes you act. You want a certain outcome, and you can't do it. So you just get the fact.
But the cool thing is like, it's not really your fault. I mean, there are certain things that you can make decisions on, yes, but something like that, a perception of things sometimes. So realizing that's when you have to get to the facts, like you said, and take the emotion out of it, because we don't really know what we're seeing. And then decisive action. I like it. Yes. And I take it back. It's not militant. I'd say it's almost more spiritual, right? It's cut out all that stuff. It's
matter of fact. It's very pragmatic. I like to think of it as
pragmatic.
Pragmatic, because you'd be surprised how much infusing emotion clouds your judgment, creates more drama, creates bigger problems. Just emotion is a big problem. A lot of people have issues with that. It creates resentment. Resentment is one of resentment is a garden that if you plant the seed of resentment, you don't dig it up and it gets roots. Boy,
yeah,
it's trouble.
That's a nasty garden. That's a weed.
Yeah.
James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, when he talks about, I love that, the metaphor that he uses of the garden, and pretty much like whatever you're going to plant in it is going to grow if you tend to the field and water it. And if you plant one type of seed that's destructive and poisonous, that's what you're going to get. And it takes the same amount of energy to go over here and plant something that's beautiful and supporting. That's a big thing. Resentment can grow, and it's not a good thing to have either.
Nope.
What about, you started speaking, correct?
Yes.
What's the message that you share there?
Well, this is something well, it's a bad joke. I literally fell into it. Haha. Fell over the handlebars into a speaking. But one of the things I was afforded when I was put in the chair and did what I did was a pulpit to speak from. And I wrote a book, Living on a Chair, and shared that story. And it's a faith-based story. And then one day I got a call from Jeff Mark, a business partner, and he said, "Hey, our speaker for our Young Presidents Organization just backed out. Could you come and tell your story?" And it was an interesting juxtaposition because I hadn't done a lot of speaking to business groups. I hadn't done any speaking to business groups. It had all been either medical
like
or
negotiations and stuff too.
Well,
right?
but it had been medical. I told my story to other patients. I told the story
Right.
to churches. I'd never asked to tell my story to a business group. YPO it's an intimidating, audience. These are all people that are hyper successful. It's an intimate setting. There's 20, 25 people. They all represent their YPO chapters from whatever city they're from, and I had a day and a half to prepare. So I had to take.
It's not a lot of time when you haven't done it.
No.
How much time was it for? How many minutes?
So I usually speak for 40, 45 minutes. This was for 20 minutes. So I had to take.
Ooh, that's a little different.
I had to take.
Just talk really fast.
Yeah, I had to take a great story and chop it down to its essence, and then leave. And it's a business group, so business people always want bottom line it for me. What are the 3 lessons you learned? What can I take home? What can I apply to my life? What can I apply to my business? So I literally Googled how to speak to executives, and there was a nice little formula that it said say this is where I was, this is where I am now, and this is how I got there.
Yeah.
These are the 3 lessons I learned along the way. It was a very simple formula, but it worked. And I just condensed my story to 20 minutes, and it went over really, really well. And I've heard the story, and it's from a third party.
It's very moving. There hasn't been a dry eye in the house the whole time. People find a ton of value in it. It's an amazing story, and
it's real. It's real.
Yeah, it's real, and you're living proof that you can also, not only can that happen, but that you can overcome it and do so much more. And I don't want to wreck it, because I think people should be hiring you to do this. I think you should be on TED Talk. I mean, it's like that. It's that inspiring.
Yeah, I think
there'll
be a time. I think there'll be a time It's funny. I haven't pushed it a whole lot, and
you don't need to. It pushes itself.
Yeah. So that free gig that I did, with the day and a half notice, ended up leading to another gig, which I actually got paid for, up in Tahoe, which led to another gig in Vegas, which led to another gig in Vegas.
It's amazing.
And
yeah.
But then they're like, "Hey, you got to build a website." So I built a website, and here we are. So
here we are. So you got a thriving company that's it's been around for 10 years, and you got a burgeoning speaking career with an amazing story.
Yeah.
All from something that a lot of people may think is the end.
Right.
And it wasn't. It was just the beginning.
No. Little did I know.
Yeah, little did we know. So do you have? I mean, how do you do this? I always ask people this. I'm curious, because I have a morning routine, and everyone that I've ever studied and that I admire and that's successful has some type of morning routine. And it doesn't always have to be meditation or working out, but they have a routine. Some people, it's waking up, having a cup of coffee and just sitting outside breathing,
Yeah.
Do you have anything like that gets you prepared?
Well, I always tell people that being paralyzed is 80% mental and 20% physical. You adapt to the physical limitations to your reality, but the mental challenge and the mental chatter that goes on is frightening. You are 100% reliant. Someone that doesn't show up in the morning to come get you, you're in big trouble. As long as I have the ability to reach for my phone, I'm okay.
Right.
I can call for help, but it's a mind F for sure. And
so yours is more like a mindset that you're setting for the day.
So my morning, to be a little graphic here, my morning is painful. When I wake up, my skin burns from my shoulders down. I have spasms so powerful they can dislocate joints.
My God, really?
Yeah, and that's what I look. That's what happens every morning. I expect that, and once I get through that, I do something that is really awesome because I sleep flat on my back at night. Is I'm able to roll over onto my side, and while I'm rolled on my side and takes the pressure off the back, burning stops, I'm able to take an inventory of what I am thankful for. And that sounds so corny, but the first thing I say, thank you for all the things that have been given. And I list all the things that were given from the previous day. And just that
right.
simple little exercise of gratitude set your day on a path of, okay, there's a lot of bad stuff that can happen, but what do I have? I have a roof over my
right.
head, which a lot of people in my situation don't. Or I got to.
And it's your own roof.
Yeah,
it's your home.
Yep. And I got to see my kids grow up, and I still talk to my kids. My mom is still alive. I get to talk to her. I have a purpose. I get to go to work, and I get to build things and create things. And I'm so thankful for that. I think that the thing that has kept me alive, quite frankly, having a purpose. And I
don't think it's just you.
But being disabled is daunting enough. If I didn't have a purpose, I probably would have put a gun in my mouth a long time ago. And that sounds like a cop-out, but it's true. If I didn't have a purpose, if I didn't have something to drive, if I didn't have something to get out of bed for, I would have driven myself insane a long time ago. So out of fear.
So is that something that you talk about?
Well, it's out of fear of that, I don't want to stare into the black. There's a chapter in my book where I talk about staring into the black. You can go down a rabbit hole of all the what ifs. What if this happens? Right. What if this happens? You will literally drive yourself insane.
Of course, and you'll make yourself believe how horrible it is. So when you speak to the groups that have already been injured, like recently injured, do you speak of that?
Yes.
I mean, is that...
Yes, you have a choice.
You
have a choice.
Yeah.
Two things that you control in no matter what situation. And I challenge people to argue this. There are two things you have 100% control over: your effort, your attitude. Nobody says today you have to have a 50% effort. You're gonna give a mediocre effort, and you're gonna have a crappy attitude. Like, nobody dictates that to you. Your boss can't dictate that to you. Your coworkers can't dictate that to you. Your body can try to dictate that to you, but you have a choice to overcome that. You have a choice to set what is my effort going to be and what is my attitude. You have that choice.
And it's just like we talked about earlier, there's just conditioning and programming that might go on. I mean, think about, that's a big thing with parenting with children, getting them to realize that when they say, you made me feel bad. It's like, hold on a minute. did I make you do that, or is that a feeling of your own? And getting them to see it and realizing it early on, it's beneficial for us all. And then it rolls right into things like this as adults. And as you